Okay, good morning, everybody. 大家早安. My name is David. I'm the managing director of GEC Taiwan, and today we're so excited with our friends from the GEC in Turkey right now. And before we officially begin, I would like to give a round of applause to our lovely friends here that is supporting us. Thank you so much for coming. And we have prepared souvenir from Taipei, but I know you're not here for the souvenir. You're here to talk about with our delegation and also with our honorable minister with our portfolio. She's going to dial in remotely shortly. So we're going to introduce our Taiwan delegation. So first, we would like to introduce our honorable Deputy General Director of the SMEA of Taiwan, Betty Huang. Betty. Thank you. Betty, would you like to say something?
I'm Betty, and it's really an honor for Taiwan to be here to host the GEC Plus in Taiwan, Taipei, this September. So welcome you to all come to Taiwan in September 27 to 29. Thank you.
Second, we would like to introduce the think tank behind all the startup initiative, the sandbox, the startup visa, and everything. Let's welcome Dr. Xin Wu from the director of TIER of Taiwan.
Hi everyone. This is our honor to have this kind of opportunity to have you here. And we will host the GEC Plus in September. And also very welcome for all of you to come to Taipei. Thank you.
And if you want to know more about startup visa and anything, well, there's always a legal team that behind to make this possible. So we have Jolie from Triple I. She's from the legal team behind all the initiatives. So would you like to say something?
Thank you for coming to GEC Taiwan and welcome to Taiwan in September. If we have enclosed the introduction of startup visa, please refer to the brochures. For more information, please contact us. Thank you.
And without everything, we have our lovely local support from our counselor from our Minister of Economic Affairs. So Annie is from our counselor here. Annie, would you like to wave your hand and say something in Turkish to welcome everybody coming in? We're very grassroots. It's okay. Come. So say anything in Taiwanese, in Turkish to welcome everybody.
Yeah, well, hello everyone and welcome for your participation. We're very glad to see you here today. Thank you.
That's not Turkish.
Yeah, hoş geldiniz.
Okay, all right, thank you. And also, so we are going to first play a video you've never seen. You've probably seen the 30-second, but you're going to see about 3 minutes about why you should come to this GEC Taipei, why Taiwan is your global amazing partner, and we're so happy we have new guest, Yatin from GEC India, and we're so happy with you and the GEC Global team standing by. So let's play the 30-second, the 3 minutes video, and then you will know why you should come.
The location of Taiwan is pretty good. Take 1.5 to 4.5 hours flight, you can arrive in most ASEAN countries, such as Japan, mainland China, Korea, Vietnam, Thailand, Philippines, Singapore, and so on. I think Taiwan is the best place to build the hardware and test out the user experience, since we have the high cultural mixing. Besides that, we can learn how to do building and selling. Taiwan is a world-famous island of science and technology. Not only we have the most complete supply chain for hardware and semiconductor, we also have the most engineers, researchers, as well as technologists across all the different disciplines.
Is that we have a very intricate supply chain.
We don't need to worry about rebuilding the supply chain.
All kind of manufacturing you can find in Taiwan, and very short distance and in short time.
You can easily find a key component supplier or designers or even system integrators, which means that you can quick and very easily to get your product ready. Most importantly, here in the public service, we have integrated design thinking and entrepreneur's spirit in our public administration through innovative regulatory co-creation environments such as the FinTech Sandbox Act and the 4-in-1 Gold Card for Foreign Talent. We have created a friendly atmosphere for entrepreneurs around the world. As a promoter of social innovation and social entrepreneurship, I also encourage industries, government, and civil society to work together in a spirit of brainstorming so that participating entrepreneurs can have the courage to tackle wicked problems and connect worldwide innovations that address real social needs. With an open attitude and a collaborative approach, combined with the power of innovation, we can meet the sustainable development goals together.
Taiwan academia have many resources in AI research, especially in the field application research, something like IoT using AI to reject noise and increase the information, or other kind of area like smart machinery and other kind of like the intelligent transportation system. All this research are fully supported by our government.
Taiwanese government has a lot of initiative to support entrepreneurs. They provide data, they provide startup support, startup capabilities. And more importantly, it provides testing grounds. So for example, we have a local sandbox where people can come and trial new ideas, even though the current legal system policy does not support it. People still can come and trial these ideas.
Tech provide perfect environment for startup of digital tech such as IoT and AI to connect with new southbound countries and to connect with G1. Welcome to Taiwan.
We welcome friends from all over the world to participate and join us with the spirit of sharing and collaboration. Together, we can create infinite possibilities for entrepreneurs around the world. Welcome to Taiwan.
Thank you so much. And we're so honored about that. We also have our Honorable Minister from Dominican Republic, Jose. Thank you for coming. Thank you. And then maybe at our later section, we can also invite you on the stage to do some sharing. Is that okay? Thank you so much. And if anybody want to do sharing, they're more than welcome. All right. So now we are actually going to the second part of the event. This is a pre-recorded, but our minister with our portfolio is actually standby. We want to making sure everything is smooth, so she's very kind enough to record this. So you can take out your cell phone right now and connect to a website called Slido. She's actually going to take everybody through the process. During the presentation, you can ask any question. She's actually standing by. 张伟你好. Oh yeah. So our minister is actually standing by. So after this video, she's going to come live. We're going to Skype out, and she's going to answer any question that you have. All right. So let's play the video.
Digital Minister. I'm very happy to be here virtually to share with you some stories about social innovation in Taiwan. In the spirit of participation, I would like to ask you to enter this website on your phone on the browser, slido.com. That's SLIDO.com. This website will ask you to enter an event code. Please enter 418. That's today's date. It's also my birthday. Once you're in, you can ask me anything. If you see a question from someone else that you would also want me to answer, you can like that question. I will answer the questions right after this talk, starting with the question with the highest number of likes. Unlike many people today, I'm an optimist. This strange condition began when I was 15 years old. That was 1996. I discovered that the future of human knowledge is on the web, and my textbooks were all out of date. So I told my teachers I want to quit school and start my education on the wide web. Surprisingly, the teachers all agreed with it. A year later, I founded a startup working on web technologies, and I get to join this fabulous internet community that runs with this crazy idea. an open, multi-stakeholder political system that runs the internet still today. Today, as Taiwan's first digital minister, I'm putting into practice the ideas that I learned when I was 15 years old. Rough consensus, civic participation, and radical transparency. Surprisingly, it's working and it's transforming our society. 2 years ago, our President Tsai Ing-wen said an inspiring statement in her inauguration speech. She said, before, democracy was a clash between two opposing values, but now democracy must become a conversation between many different values. Indeed, in conventional thinking, social benefits and business profits, for example, are often opposite forces and contradict each other, forcing the government to make trade-offs. However, the idea of social innovation brings a brand new way of thinking. For people working on social innovation, the core objective may be achieved by developing business model to address social issues or environmental issues, and the government's role has changed. Instead of being the arbiter torn between different sides, we're now asking a different set of questions. We ask, what are our common values despite different positions? And we ask, given the common values, can we find solutions that work for everyone? And this is the spirit of co-creation of social innovation. And civic technology, the branch of technology that enables millions of people to listen to each other instead of just one person to speak to millions of people, is a core ingredient to the social innovation. And indeed, in the past couple of years, Taiwan has been consistently ranked the top country internationally on open data, on internet participation, on women's digital access, digital inclusivity, etc. And all this was because we've been adopting open data crowdsourcing as the national direction since 2014. And this was catalyzed and epitomized of an Occupy movement that year. There was a live demo for 22 days where we occupied the parliament and did a large deliberation that involved 500,000 people on the street and many more online. At the time, the MPs in Taiwan were refusing to deliberate a trade service agreement, and so the occupiers got into parliament at night and stayed there. And for 22 days, there were over 20 NGOs participating, and we deliberated line by line this agreement with the whole society. We supported this deliberation with a radically transparent broadcasting, live streaming logistics system, which we exported to Hong Kong later that same year. It was powered by this community called GovZero. GovZero is a civic tech community with the call to fork the government. By fork, we mean we take the government website and services, which all ends in gov.tw, and make better, open alternatives and donate it into the public domain that ends in g0v.tw. For example, the annual national budget is 100 pages long in the PDF file and it's very hard to read. And the GovZero community's very first project was budget.g0v.tw, which shows the national budget in a way that everybody understands and can drill down to each and every budget details. Today, this system is adopted by 7 city governments, and you can just get into the part of the budget that you care and engage in a real-time conversation with public service. And as of this month, we have also officially adopted this system to the project tracking system today in the central government join the gov.tw, so one can merge back this contribution from the GovZero community into the national government. So why are there so many civic hackers in Taiwan that at the time of Occupy said to my clients, like Apple, Oxford University Press, saying, okay, we have to take a 3-week leave because democracy needs me? I think it's because our generation, I'm 37 today, we are the first generation that enjoy the freedom of speech after 3 decades of martial law and dictatorship. The freedom arrived in 1989, the year of personal computers. So for us, the personal computer revolution and freedom of speech occurred in the same year. Our first presidential election by popular vote in 1996 is also the year that the World Web got popular. So internet and democracy, they're not two things, it's one and the same thing in Taiwan. So for the past 30 years, when we see free software, we always think of freedom of assembly, freedom of speech, freedom from censorship, freedom from surveillance, and never free of cost. because we know that freedom is never free of cost. Our parents and grandparents' generation paid dearly for the freedom, and we need to use the freedoms, the software freedoms, to keep it free. And the movement caused a revolution, although a peaceful one. There was a radical transformation of social expectations at the end of that year, and many occupiers found themselves elected mayors when they did not expect it. Because of this, there's a new premier at the time that says, from now on, crowdsourcing and open data, they're just going to be the national direction. And the civic tech people who supported the occupiers, such as yours truly, were then invited as mentors and advisors to the public service to solve new emerging social issues like Uber. Uber is very interesting because it is an innovation, but it's also a meme, a virus of the mind. At the time, it's called sharing economy, and it says that algorithm code dispatch cars better than laws, so we don't have to obey laws. And the meme spread through apps from drivers to passengers to drivers. It's just like a flu, and you can't really argue with the meme, just like you can't argue with the flu because it's not the same category. So there's protests. The taxi drivers surrounded the Ministry of Transport demanding negotiation. But how do we negotiate with the virus of the mind? For us, the solution is through a deliberation that involves thousands of stakeholders. And the idea is that thinking deeply about something together is an effective vaccine against PR, against virus of the mind. When everyone, passengers and drivers, academics and public servants, listen to one another and form a consensus, we can collectively find our common values and a way forward. A proper deliberation with a focused conversation method involves 4 stages. The first stage is facts, where we collect evidence, first-hand experience, and objective data. And then after that is confirmed, we move to collect everybody's feelings about those same facts. You may feel angry, and I may feel happy, and it's all okay. So after people converge on their feelings that resonates with everybody, we talk about ideas. The best ideas are the ones that address the most people's feelings. Then we translate those into legalese and sign them into law, into regulations. However, if the decision-making process is not transparent, then people on the street will have a different set of facts and speak a different language than people in the policy-making process. So they're not even agreeing on basic facts, let alone each other's feelings. In that situation, ideas often become ideologies, an even more potent virus of the mind that they can blind people to new facts and to each other's feelings. So our first step is open data, that's making all the facts available and ask the private sector and the civil society to share what they have. And next, we created an interactive survey using an AI dialogue system called Polis to ask about how citizens feel. 4 groups of people soon emerged: taxi drivers, Uber passengers, and other passengers. The Polis system automatically shows each group how their shared sentiments are received by other people in other groups. And the interesting thing is, it lowers people's antagonism because you see all these people on different sides. They are your social media friends, and you just didn't talk about this over dinner. So at the beginning, the people were on the different corners, pretty polarized. But because we say we give binding power to anything that people can propose that convince a majority of all the different groups, so participants converge on feelings that resonate not only with like-minded people, but across the aisle. So instead of distracting people using only divisive statements and trolling as many social media is prone to, we use this new kind of AI-powered space to focus people's energy on consensus statements that resonates with people, and people refine it until we get a set of feelings that resonates with practically everybody. Now it becomes easier then for the government to meet with all the stakeholders and check with them one by one. Here is the consensus of the people. Do you agree? If you do agree, how do we translate that into a new law? Because in a live stream environment, they're bound to the words that they said during the consultation. The stakeholders eventually agreed. When we ratified their agreements in August 2016, everybody knew that it's coming. Everybody anticipated it, and now Uber operates entirely legally under the new framework. But so do the taxi companies, who are now adopting the same model that Uber is using for dispatching its cars. So this method really works. And the next question is, can we scale this process of listening? Can we scale it out to reach more people? Can we scale it up to accommodate more people at the same topic? Can we scale it deeply so that it becomes a new culture of public service? So right after the ratification in 2016, I joined the cabinet as the digital minister to explore this possibility through PDIS, the Public Digital Innovation Space. We're like the policy labs in the UK. We're a digital service at a national level with designers, programmers, policy experts. We're automating away a lot of those chores that the public service are doing in order to make participation possible and fun. So it is a culture that we're bringing into the government. For example, I'm a radically transparent digital minister. All the lobbyists, all the journalists, everybody can get to ask me questions, but I only answer publicly. So if I get a question from a private correspondence, I will reply and say if it's okay to give my answers publicly. If they're not okay with it, then I will just paste them the link to where my previous statements are. And it also covers internal meetings. For all of the hundreds of internal meetings that I have chaired since I was the minister, everything was transcribed and published to the internet. There was this written record for everything everybody said during the meetings, and after 10 working days of collaborative editing, we publish everything. The effect of this is very surprising. The bureaucracy actually becomes very innovative and risk-taking. They propose some very good ideas under this new condition. That's because previously, before I introduced this kind of radical transparency, the public service would get the blame if things goes wrong, and the minister gets all the credit if something goes right. But with this completely accountable record, if things go right, well, they share the credit because the journalists will find the names on it. But because it's an experimental method, if things go wrong, it's all my fault. And so it becomes very innovative, and people became open to a lot of interesting ideas, such as adopting a startup entrepreneur standard toolkit of remote collaboration, of like Sandstorm, like Etherpad, Trello, like Slack, and all these free communication tools. We find their open source counterparts and install it using it in the public service. And we were able to find our cybersecurity department and a lot of white hat hackers to ensure the safety of the underlying sandbox system so that we're free from cybersecurity attacks and issues. So we have a lot of interesting systems just developed by young public servants, like an app to order lunch together, to plan traveling together, or whatever, and it's really good to have this choice. Based on this remote collaboration network, we have this e-petition platform as a way for people to participate. To the public, it's like the We the People platform in the US. However, we did an improvement on it by focusing on cross-ministry issues. Whereas before, people will just get those very blank, dutiful answers that doesn't really solve their problem, but just explain why one single ministry can't do much about it. We send a virtual team of at least one person per ministry, so about 50 people online. We assemble this virtual team of participation officers, or POs, and they specialize in online and offline engagement. So now in Taiwan, when people start a petition, they know that instead of just a beautiful written response, they can actually get to meet with all the relevant ministries in Taipei, or we will also travel to the rural areas and islands if they're petitioning for local development. So we solve a lot of very interesting problems like this without exposing any public servant to risk. For example, we have a petitioner last May who petitioned that for Mac users and Linux users, the national income tax filing software is explosively unfriendly to use. And so instead of just explaining the problem, we invite all the people who complain the loudest and to co-create the new tax filing system this year. And through this kind of co-creation, people in the public learn that they can contribute their expertise, not just as complaints, but as co-creation efforts. And this is the way we're collaborating with the civic sector through participation officers. We're building a robust environment suitable for social innovations to grow, where the power of civil society could be brought into the national stage in full play. And the venue where we hold these collaboration meetings, the Social Innovation Lab, is also itself a product of co-creation. More than 100 social entrepreneurs were invited at the inauguration of this space to communicate their conceptions and expectations. As such, we achieved a blended consensus and created a space that morphs to fulfill everyone's purposes. For example, it stays open until the midnight, until 11 p.m., and so did the cafe and kitchen. And the resident chef to connect everybody through food was also arranged by popular demand. Moreover, I personally provide a mentorship office hour at the lab every Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. As long as my visitors agree to have our conversation posted online, anyone interested in social innovation is welcome to have a discussion with me. And the different regional cities, social enterprises, and the innovators are also able to leverage this facility by joining me in a bi-weekly regional talk. In this regional roundtable, as you can see here, people gather around me and I bring the live streaming equipment so that more than 12 different ministries in Taipei also join in this virtual connected room so that all the related ministries are there and can quickly resolve issues brought up by the regional social innovators. And once the people in Taipei solve it, the other ministries then also understand and learn, okay, so this problem is to be resolved in this kind of way, thereby providing a virtual team that is cross-ministry and can respond quickly to any issues. For example, the GovZero Air Pollution Observation Network is such a grassroots movement that gained national spotlight. By combining the diversified talents in the civil society, in the academia, and private sector, and the public sector, this project utilized this air quality sensor, Airbox, which is becoming very popular. It applied those IoT sensors in a sensor fusion fashion so that all the interested people can acquire with very little expense any real-time air quality information of their local schools, balconies, or even in the office. So little by little and bit by bit, more than 2,000 contributors accumulated a massive database which is closer to the air quality in actual places where people are active. An exceptional advantage of Taiwan is the full support instead of rejection of the government. As soon as we learn about this effort, we allocated a forward-looking infrastructure plan that allocates more than 5 billion NT dollars with a 4-year budget for the IoT for public good. So it starts with air pollution, but also meteorology, water resources, earthquake, disaster relief. All those massive amount of data are integrated into the high-speed computing environment so that we can collaboratively compare the models of the academics and discover the correlations between social activities and environmental phenomena in real time. We're also working with the private sector and the Industrial Technology Research Institute to assist with the manufacture of domestic, affordable, high-quality sensors so that communities can yield data of a higher accuracy. And why does Taiwan government encourage such social innovations? Because currently there's many misunderstandings between government and the people due to lack of transparency. Establishing an effective dialogue about public policy is difficult until the source of daily air pollution are disclosed to the whole society in a trustworthy fashion. So we also use distributed ledger to store this information. So that we are very proud that Airbox-related products and services has been introduced to all over the world. By uniting the strengths of both the government and the public, Taiwan proved to be capable of not only solving our own social problems, but also providing such solutions to other countries in similar situations as a reference. Moreover, we have a sandbox law design so that if you experiment in fintech, in AI, in autonomous driving or vehicles, you can apply for a systematic experimentation for 6 months to 12 months to up to 4 years, and you can get to break the law during the experimentation period. But the law is meant to be broken in a way that achieves the common good for the society, so that during the experiment, we will assemble a multi-stakeholder panel that lets people to experiment with this new technology for 6 months and collectively decide using civic tech consensus gathering methods whether the society thinks this technology is good for society moving forward or is a really bad idea. If it's a good idea, then the regulators and the laws get changed because of social innovators. And if it's not a good idea, well, at least the risk is capped and you pay the tuition for everybody else so that we can try a different model the next time. And through this way, Taiwan realizes our duty and our responsibility to the international community by developing and focusing not on only just one or two Sustainable Development Goals, but concurrently on all the Sustainable Development Goals and focus on SDG 17, which is cross-sectoral, international, and cross-discipline collaboration. The idea of developing this kind of collaboration technology is that voting, like 2 bits per 4 years, is a very low bandwidth communication. It's very easy, everybody can do it, but there's just not much bits of information. On the other end, hacktivism, like occupying the parliament, is very expensive, and we can't do this for every major public decision. So we need to build a ladder of expertise by sharing more real-time open data, by having interactive public Q&A forums, by setting up binding petitioning and discussion processes, and by bringing the technology to people instead of asking disadvantaged people to use new technology. We're building a deliberation system that takes care of broadband access as human right, that scales to all the levels of the society. And through this, we're building a unified democracy, not hijacked by ideologies, and efficient democracy that responds to the demands of the society, and an empathetic democracy that lets people take care of each other's feelings. And we do this by listening and building civic technologies that help us listen to one another. So let's all keep listening to each other. And I welcome you to join us in Taiwan for the 2018 GEC+. We welcome friends from all over the world to participate and join us with the spirit of sharing and collaboration. With an open attitude and a collaborative approach, combined with the power of innovation, we can meet the Sustainable Development Goals together. So thank you for listening, and let's now take some questions.
All right. So if you arrive early, we have shared with you there's a website called Slido, SLI.do. So you can currently log in, and we are actually going to connect with our minister with our portfolio, Honorable the Minister with our portfolio, Audrey Tang. So she's going to log in right now remotely. So we're just calling the special assistant of the minister with the portfolio. So Mark should be online. We have tested. Okay. All right. So, our honorable minister, can you see us?
Yes, I can see you just fine.
All right, so our lovely Minister of Digital with our portfolio from Taiwan is live interacting with everyone. So now is question time. Anybody want to ask any question?
Well, there's 2 questions on Slido already.
Okay, great. And also, Honorable Minister Audrey, we actually have other minister in presence as well. Our lovely from Dominican Republic. Am I pronouncing it? Dominica, to be safe. So our minister from Dominica is here, and then and lovely guests from all over the world. So take it away, 这位请。
Great. Very nice to virtually meet you. And I welcome you to the GEC Plus Taipei in September. So Jose would like to know, do you weigh the answers from the people on the platform? For example, on the Uber case, it is the same for a vocational user than a heavy user. It's a great question. So first of all, what we are measuring using the POLIS platform is the diversity and the resonance of each statement. So it is immune to trolling and immune to mobilization. If people mobilize 5,000 people to vote exactly the same way, they will just be the same dot on the 2-dimensional platform that shows the diversity of viewpoints. So what we're looking for is not counting the number of people supporting this argument or that argument, but whether any argument can resonate across the different groups. And people who log in social media profile, like Twitter profile, they of course get some benefit because their Twitter friends can see that this statement is associated with somebody else that they know and trust. And so therefore they tend to get more votes. But it's not necessarily yes votes. It also could be no votes. So in that sense, we don't see a large difference between people who log in through Facebook or through Twitter or through email to voice their concerns. But if someone is a heavy user in the sense that they go back to the people's resonance with their idea and then propose more nuanced, more eclectic ideas, then they tend to, on their third or fourth try, strike on something that works for everyone and something that is the common value shared by all the participants. So if in the sense of that people checking in every day or so, it is much more likely for them to come with a consensus statement than a person who just drop by a statement and then leaves the discussion. So the more engaged one is, the more likely one is able to sense the sentiment of the groups and then propose something that reflects the general will of the group. I hope that answers your question. And Cecilia, a fellow Taiwanese and expat, would like to know if this presentation is shareable. It is. So my Twitter handle, my Twitter account is Audrey T, T for Tang. So if you go to my Twitter handle, Audrey T, I've already tweeted the link to the YouTube recording as well as the presentation of this talk that you just saw. So yeah, feel free to just tweet at me. And if there's any suggestions or any improvement that I can make to this presentation, please feel free to just contact me on Twitter. So that's my Twitter handle. This person got it right. And yeah, and we're very happy to share with you the new developments of social innovation in Taiwan. So yeah, can we open the question to the floor?
Yeah, anybody want to just raise your hand and I'm going to repeat your question. So our Honorable Minister, Audrey Tang can answer. Anybody want to ask any question? Okay. So do you want to speak to the mic?
Sure. So first of all, is it going directly?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So thank you, Minister, for coming online. Thank you, Minister, for coming online. I love your hairstyle. I can't have it because I've lost my hair, but you're looking great. So my question is that you shared something about the law that you had made, and you have made things public. And that said something about it's the first time this has been made. So can you highlight a little bit more what exactly that law was about and how you were instrumental in making that happen? Thank you very much.
政委有听见吗？
Well, yeah, would you please, the moderator can summarize the question?
Okay, so let me try to summarize. So the question is, under Taiwanese initiative and also our ministry, basically we made the information public online. So you would like to know how did we go about it, what was the approach, and what were the challenges that we face?
Right, that's a great question. So to get all the ministries on board, we need to talk with 3 different levels of the senior executives, the mid-level public servants, and the frontline staff. And they each tend to focus on a different aspect. The frontline staff would be convinced to open up to this kind of discussion if and only if it reduces their workload overall. It makes them easier to handle this massive amount of popular opinion and let them, go home earlier instead of go home later by engaging with the public. The mid-level executives in the public service tend to be very wary of any possible political risk that they can expose themselves to by engaging with the public in this crowdsourced or open source kind of way. And the senior executives are, of course, having their social missions and their plans that they want to realize together with the society. And so basically we use a idea called Pareto improvement. All the different innovations that we try in the public service, we discuss it with the participation officers of all the different ministries and gauge whether it can improve this frontline staff's efficiency and quality of life, and whether it can reduce the risk of mid-level management, and whether it can create something of social value, aligns with the value proposition with the senior executive. And it only works if we don't harm any of those three levels. It's not fungible. So all our improvement may be a little improvement on one of the three fronts, but it must not be done in a way that sacrifices the other two levels of public management. And so by doing this bit by bit and using early Pareto improvements, we are able to transfer the culture and technique into the ministries through a way that is to the benefit, not just to citizens, but also to the public service workforce.
Thank you, Minister. Does that answer your question? Great. Do we have? I think we have one. We have time for one more question. Then we're going to our fourth elements of the event. Probably we can invite our honorable minister from Dominica going to share with us. So, any more? One question. One question. Anybody want to ask anything? Okay, so the question to Minister Audrey is the case study available online, right? That's the question from the same gentleman. 郑伟，听得见吗? Okay, so the question is, the case study you just shared, is it available online?
Yeah, the slides that I shared is online in my Twitter account. My Twitter account is Audrey T for Tang. So if you use the GEC 2018 tag or search for Audrey T on Twitter, then you can see the recording as well as the presentation file.
All right. One more questions? All right. So we're going to our final elements. I'm not sure if I have the honor. I know I didn't buy him beer last night. Jose, would you like to come in the front? We can do a bit sharing, and then we'll ask our team to shift the laptop so that we can, interact. So Jose, would like to take a seat. So that's live stream to, I think there are about 30 people watching, but I think there are 30 laptop and 100,000 people watching. I'm just exaggerating. So Jose, I know we know each other for GC platform for the longest time, and because you have a true love for what you do at the SMEA in your country, and also I felt that you probably love Taiwan as much as I do. So would you like to share about your thoughts about GEC Plus events or any comments of your past collaboration with Taiwan? Thank you.
Thank you, David. Not as much, but really, I feel a lot of empathy for what and for the history of Taiwan and what they have done. And really, right now we're collaborating with Taiwan. We're receiving the support. Well, by the way, in 2013, the first contest that we run, called an entrepreneurial challenge, was backed by Taiwan.
Thank you so much.
So really, you've been a great supporter of the Dominican Republic, but we have so many lessons because we have 48,000 square kilometers. You are 36,000 square kilometers. So we're the size of it, but still, you have done so much. Since the 1960s, when we were basically at the same level, you have grown many, many times above us. So there's a lot of lessons to learn how to do it with SMEs, how to do it with small companies. I know we talk a lot about scale-ups, a lot about high growth, a lot about, but anyway, we need to support the base of the pyramid of the SMEs. That's the way to get. There's no way to get a cream without the coffee at the bottom or the milk at the bottom. It's really been a great experience to work with ICDF from your country and your government also. I have been a couple of times in Taiwan. Last time I was impressed with the difference from 1998 to 2014. It was 1998 I saw street full of bike. Now I see only people walking. What happened? Oh, we did the metro. How do you do the metro? Oh, we did it everywhere. So it's really impressive. And now understanding more what's going to happen at GEC Plus, I have a good envy because really I think, again, you're showing how to put the policies, the correct policies for your country to develop and to take advantage of what is going on, really. So I really hope to be able to be there with you. I'll pull all my strings to do it. Not sure yet, but I will. I already invited some people in the Dominican Republic who are working on AI and IoT.
Lovely.
So really, we're showing the path. You're showing the path for a lot of our governments how to engage really in a participative way.
Thank you so much, Minister. And I'm not sure if the voice, the sound is clarity. Were you able to hear from the Minister of the Dominican Republic about his love about Taiwan? Maybe you didn't hear it, but maybe you saw some gesture about, maybe you have comments about other countries want to collaborate. Is there any comments or any suggestion on how do we start great collaboration with other countries?
So we are part of the Digital and currently Digital 7 working group. And what we are seeing from the Digital 7 working group in the operation level is that we have a lot of people in the government using the civil society's way to develop in the open, using service design methodologies, putting our source code on GitHub, and all these very open kind of collaboration. We see that we can join each other's component projects. For example, the transcript system we use was developed in London, or for example, the POLIS system that you just saw, the AI model conversation was developed in Seattle and so on. And so this is like a global lab, as long as everybody works in the open and join each other's Git and Slack channels. I'm sure that we can collaborate first on the operation level and then generally speaking, moreover on the policy making level.